What's going on, good people? What's going on? In partnership with WYTV7, this is Christian Broadcasters Network. This is When Men Open Up, where we are redefining manhood through transparency. My name is Dominique.
And I am Dexter Peggins Jr.
And we got a wonderful topic, stepping out as a trailblazer. Stepping out as a trailblazer. Man, you know, the first thing that just comes out is just trailblazer. You know?
Yes, sir.
Let's give people an idea of what cause that's an important. We want to really set the tone with this topic. You know, when we talk about trailblazer, all right, what are we really referring to?
Well, before we go there, let me say this. I think we've been very strategic over the last 2 weeks. We just came out of talking about fear,
right.
And I think fear is a good lead into this subject matter because now what's on the other side of you overcoming that fear? And so when we're talking about trailblazer, we're talking about forging a path in new ground, essentially, stepping out into that thing that you know you're supposed to do. And oftentimes there is no example when you're a trailblazer,
That's
or
true.
you may be the only one in that field doing it. So trailblazing essentially is forging a path, ultimately to set others behind you. Give them a clear path to follow.
Got you. So when we're talking about stepping out, what are some things that we need to consider or begin doing or start incorporating?
Oh, man, that's a great question, man. I think the first and foremost is you have to recognize the time. Is it time to step out? Oftentimes we limit ourselves because we're not aware of the time for the thing we're supposed to be doing.
Right.
Either we're looking for excuses to not do it or to prolong it, or we may not be prepared to actually do the thing. I think also we need to take the time to measure the cost. You know, consider what it's going to cost to move out and to pursue this thing that we're called to do. And then I think also the last thing, well, I won't say the last thing, but, you know, because there's a myriad of things that you should consider. But I also think you should also be aware of the need for the thing you're getting ready to do. Oftentimes the need is the driving factor for you to step out.
Right.
We look for the need, and because we're equipped to answer the need, oftentimes that is the invitation to step out and become that trailblazer.
That's good. And when you have, I like to always tell people, you know, before you step out, you always have to have a destination or that vision. And it's so important because when people reach out and they want to work on a project or they want to collaborate on a project, it's sometimes very difficult to really verbalize what you're trying to do because they don't have a vision for it or they don't have a clear vision for it. So what's very important, your vision is basically your destination where you're going.
Exactly.
So even if before you even use a GPS, you need to know what the address is or where you're going in order to use the GPS. And the GPS is basically irrelevant if you don't actually have the destination or the address. So what's really important with the timing that you said is when we have the vision or a bright idea, man, that's exciting, man. You know, I can remember all the things that I really wanted to do and I'm doing now. And when I got the vision for it, I was ecstatic. You know, it was probably hard for me to go to sleep. I wanted to tell everyone. And with that being said, even though I was very excited, there's still a process, and we keep talking about that P word, process. And you'll allow that excitement to cause you to skip steps within that process. So it's very, very important to, when you have that bright idea, when you have that vision for it, man, really take time with it. I always tell people, you know, you got to understand, is it the time? And by so the question is, how do I know it's the time? That's a good question. How do I know if it is the time? And you spend time with that idea. You get what I'm saying? So it's just like going out on a date, or you find someone you're attracted to, you want to get to know that person. You're going to have to spend time with that person, go out with that person in order to find out more about that person. Y'all may go on a few dates, but then there's going to be a time where y'all just going to need that alone time as just y'all two. You get what I'm saying? And there's going to be no phones, there's no distractions. It's just y'all two. And when y'all have that time, then you can actually go through that questionnaire.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And y'all asking questions so y'all can get to know each other. And it's the same thing with your vision. So my question is, how often or how much time have you really sat down and really meditated, really prayed over that vision, over that idea? How many questions do you really know that vision? Do you really know that idea? You get what I'm saying? Some couples don't work out because they find out stuff in the long run.
Yeah.
And these are some of the things they should have found out way in the beginning.
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if they would have spent that time in the beginning, you get what I'm saying, they wouldn't have went through that. They probably would have known, you know what, this is a short-term thing.
Yeah.
You know what, this is a long-term thing. And the same thing with an idea. You'll understand, you know what, maybe this is just a spur-of-the-moment type thing. Maybe this is a short-term thing. This is a long-term thing. So my thing is, when you have that vision, take time and really meditate, pray, really just cherish that idea. Let it just be yours for a minute. Don't just be so quick to share it with others. Really spend time with your idea.
Yeah, I mean, and you hit on some really key points. I think one of the things you hit on is passion. And you know, you and I have had this conversation with various audiences, and one of the things I always share is that passion is good. Passion informs you of your purpose. But I think oftentimes we find ourselves passionate about the thing, and the passion drives us to action. I think passion is an indicator, but I don't think passion should be the sole thing that ignites you stepping out. Because what ends up happening is you'll get burned out. The vision is what's supposed to keep you moving.
Exactly.
And so you connect, your passion connects ultimately with the vision, and that informs you as far as the process that you should be taking towards making the vision a reality.
Right.
Another thing as it relates to being a trailblazer is that you have to create a plan. And then be mindful that as you begin the process, sometimes the plan changes. You know, I think sometimes we're unwilling to deviate from the plan because we're more married to the plan than we are the vision. The vision has to be the greater thing, especially as you are the trailblazer. Because once again, you're the first one doing it. You know what I'm saying? There may be examples of people who have done great feats, and you can model their template, but the reality is that you have a plan to accomplish something that hasn't been accomplished before.
Right.
You can't be so committed to this plan because guess what? It might not work. But as you're stepping out, you say, okay, hey, I'm going to make an adjustment here because I feel as though if I make this adjustment, that's going to get me one step closer to the vision. So I'll say that again. Passion should not be the sole thing that gets you moving forward towards the realization of your vision. Passion should inform your vision. But at the end of the day, passion can be misaligned. You know, I've shared with you before that one point in time, I felt this tremendous passion to feed on, you know, a number of homeless individuals.
Right.
And I was making bag lunches, and you know, I'm passing out bag lunches and all of that. But what I discovered was I wasn't being effective because there was actually a mission in the area that provided support for the homeless individuals. And so it made more sense for me to financially support that mission as opposed to trying to every week buy the bread, buy the meat, you know, and everything else. That didn't make sense. And so I allowed my passion to become misplaced, and I became ineffective.
Right.
I also became burned out with that effort. And so I lost sight of what the bigger thing was. And the bigger thing was, hey, Dexter, if you want to support this, there's a mission, there's a ministry that already does it. Align your resources with theirs, and then the vision of helping this population, now it becomes more of a reality.
Right. And the thing is about setting up a plan, it causes you or it helps you to be more strategic.
Exactly.
See, what I like, and I want people to really write this down, you say you can't be married to the plan over your vision. And we're going to end up posting that on our page. You can't be married to your plan over your vision. See, I think, you know, one of the biggest, a statement that I made last year is I had to ask myself, really not a statement, a question, when I have a vision, I always have to question, does my actions and my thoughts line up with my vision?
Exactly.
Always, on a daily basis, before I even do something, meet up with someone, go to an event, or whatever the case may be, or accept an opportunity, does this align with my vision? And and that's a great question to help hold you accountable.
Yeah.
Because things are gonna always pop up. Good opportunities, quote unquote, are gonna always pop up, and some of them are gonna be very flashy. Some of them are gonna smell good. Some of them are gonna really look good, and we're gonna be tempted to go to that. And I think we're all, have done that. We have a vision. Something comes up, and we say we want to do that, and then across time we say, you know what, that has nothing to do with what I'm doing.
Exactly.
And that's time wasted. So I think it's very, very important to really understand, does everything line up with my vision, even when it comes down to your thoughts. If you're trying to go back to school, there's no reason for you to entertain that, I may not be able to do this because of X, Y, and Z. You know what, we'll entertain every reason why we can't do something, and we'll convince ourselves on why we shouldn't do it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? If people are saying something that has nothing to do with our assignment or God's assignment for us, we'll allow that to override what God has already placed in us. So we already have instructions. Why do we need to go out to other people for validation? You get what I'm saying? Because we already got the approval from Him. So I think that's very, very important for us to really go through that questioning, because that questioning is going to always hold us in line. It's going to always hold us accountable to what we are really doing, how we should be really moving on a regular basis. Another thing that we need to really consider is, once again, pause. I like to tell people to pause for a minute. You get what I'm saying? Because when we have a new vision, we're going to new heights, right? And some people cannot come to that new level. You get what I'm saying? So with that being said, we need to pause for a minute and even question our circle. We need to even question the environments that we're placing ourselves into, because once again, that's your time. Remember, the question is, does my time align with my vision? And if the people in your circle do not align with your vision, well, you have some adjustments you have to make. If your environment does not align with your vision, you have some adjustments you have to make. So I think on a regular basis, when we're going up to new heights and new levels, I think that's a valuable question to really ask ourselves on a regular basis, so we can make sure that we're making adjustments on the way, because things are not going to always be the same on each level that we go to.
Yeah, I love that. And here's the thing. Once again, we're talking about a trailblazer. And the attitude about a trailblazer, once again, is that you're forging a path that hasn't been set before.
Right.
And so when you think about it, not everybody's able to take that journey with you anyway. By nature of the definition of a trailblazer, not everybody's going to be able to walk alongside you for this work. Most of the people join you as the path is being cleared out. Right. And so, we can't get thrown off track when people don't want to join us, as we're, forging the path, and as we're, making when we're tripping up and, stuff like that. But at some point in time, you have to ask yourself, okay, is the opinion of the people greater than my vision? Exactly. Because at the end of the day, and you spoke to this validation, at the end of the day, I see it in my heart as a reality. I believe that God has placed it in my heart, which serves as the validation. The validation is when you look back and you see that what you accomplished actually serviced humanity. That's what validates your work. God trusted you with it because He knew that through you, He wanted to birth this, and through you, it will bless other people. Right. Now you're validated in your work. But we oftentimes get so caught up in the opinions of other people that we don't step out. And, when we were talking about the fear, being afraid, the spirit of fear, oftentimes the spirit of fear keeps us relegated to a posture of complacency. Like, I won't step out. Even though something in you is telling you to step out, fear will say, well, no one needs to know that God is telling me to do this thing. And the great thing about a trailblazer is that once you forge that path, you now become the example for other people. other people are looking up to you, and now you become the template from which they follow. It won't be necessarily the same thing, but it will give them hope to step out on faith to do what God is calling them to do as well.
And you know what? A good question is, what's the difference? Because I asked this question. I asked this question on my Facebook for a reason. What's the difference between seeking guidance and seeking validation? And I think the validation part is it's already in you.
Yeah.
You know, God already gave you the instructions, but you're seeking other people's opinions for approval. You get what I'm saying? Even though you already have the instructions or you already have the vision. With guidance, you're going to someone with their experience. You're going to a professional, a coach, a mentor, someone you look up to just for further direction. You get what I'm saying? Maybe to help you consider some things that you probably won't think about. Maybe to question you, and not question you as in doubt, but really question you to really expand your mindset, you know, to some things that you probably haven't thought about.
Yeah.
That's the difference. You know, with guidance, you already have it in you, but you know that, you know what, I need to seek wise counsel, and I need to go to someone, right, who probably already been there, who probably already made some mistakes, so they can help me avoid those mistakes. Seeking validation is already in you, but it's those insecurities, right, that's causing you to go to other people for those opinions and that approval. So it's already in you, and you just need everybody to say, yeah, you should do it, or no, what, you shouldn't do it, and then you'll value that over everything. Go ahead. You want to share?
And I want to share it, and that's the danger about seeking validation from others about something God has called you to do, because now you're assuming that they have the same drive that you have. You're assuming that maybe they hear God the same way, and maybe they don't. Maybe they're a person who forfeited what God placed on their heart to do.
Right.
And so be careful when you're listen, you're asking them if, hey, this thing God put on my heart, is it right?
Yeah.
You know, no, that shouldn't be the question. The question is, hey, I know you've done X, Y, and Z. What advice would you give me as I'm launching out? I'm not asking you if what I'm feeling or what I'm hearing is this God telling me to do this. Just give me some advice to, you know, if you were in such and such situation, what would you do? Exactly.
And those of you that are watching the video, please share the video, and please invite people that will be impacted by this. The next thing is, when you're stepping out, you have that confidence to step out, right? But to really be that trailblazer, is that boldness. And we kind of went into the boldness last week, but I really want to touch on it even deeper on this time. And when you're stepping out in boldness, understand that when you're finally stepping out, everyone's not going to be in agreement with you.
Definitely.
And there's going to be some disagreement.
Yes.
And the meaning of controversy is the disagreement of others. And a lot of people, when they finally do step out, they have, or they may sense, that disagreement or that disapproval or that jealousy or whatever the case may be. The list goes on and on and on. And they don't necessarily have to say it. We feel it. We feel those things. We feel those thoughts. So the thing is, how are you going to respond to that? How are you going to respond to the controversy? That's a good question. How are you going to respond to the conflict? Are you going to allow that to override everything that you got going on? Because it's going to happen. When you finally step out, people are not going to like that. When you finally step out, people are going to have something to say. But to be that trailblazer, it's the way you move. You move totally different. And you move with a purpose, you move with passion, you move with force. And when you move like that, that's when you're really making the true impact that you're really supposed to be making. A trailblazer doesn't just go real slow and around the curve and just second guessing turns and everything like that. They're moving with a purpose. So this is the thing. When you're walking with boldness, you're walking how God wants you to walk. And you have a glow about you, right? And this glow is going to highlight other people's insecurities. So that's part of the reason why, that's part of the reason why some people may look at you a little different when you walk into the room. You know, everyone wants to start shifting their seats and everything, like they're uncomfortable. Or when you're sitting by people, you just sense this uncomfortable or this discomfort from other people. And you have to stay focused. That's the key thing. You have to have that tunnel vision. You have to have that inline focus on what you are called to do, and that's gonna really hold you accountable. See, we have to. See, this is the thing, man.
Yeah.
With that boldness, man, with that glow that you have, everyone's not gonna be in agreement with that. And if you allow it, people will slow you down, and you have to stay focused.
Man, I don't know if you saw me biting at the bit, man, but you said some really powerful stuff right there. First and foremost, if we're honest with ourselves, if we do a look historically, most of the figures that we now hold in reverence, at some point in time, they were controversial.
Yeah.
You know, they were trailblazers.
Right.
The issue is that during the time that they were setting their path, because it was so different from everybody else's, the only thing people could do was ridicule what they were doing. Listen, we worship one of the most controversial figures of all time. You know, Jesus Christ was very controversial. He came against what, the religious leaders of the time, the religious experts, and all of them, spoke ill of his work. And like you said, he was very focused. He was tunnel vision. I think the word says that he set his face like a flint, so he hardened up his face to go through the opposition that he would face in order to, guess what? To fulfill his vision and his purpose for his life.
Exactly.
And that's one of the things that I think we have to learn how to do. We have to know that the closer you're getting towards the realization of your vision, you are going to encounter adversity. One of the things that Jesus experienced, the Bible talks about a number of his disciples left him after he had shared a hard word. Mm-hmm. And then he looked at the 12 and said, will you leave also? And they said, well, where will we go? You have the words of life. At the end of the day, he was willing to sacrifice all his relationships for the fulfillment of his vision. And I don't think many of us are that committed towards our vision. Ooh. You and I discussed it earlier. We will allow the opinions of other people to halt us from experiencing the fullness that we are supposed to encounter in this life. And one of the things that I fear for myself is that I will get to the place that I become complacent because I want to appease other people.
Yeah. And the good thing about that, those of you that's just tuning in, please share the video. The good thing about that is even the people do not hold the key to our destiny.
Exactly.
And that's why we just have to be so clear on our assignment, on the instructions that God has given us, because what's out there, our name is already on it.
Yeah.
And that's the mindset that we have to go out with. Our name is already on it. We don't need anyone's approval. It's already there for us because God has already set it out for us. So when we walk and we move, that's being a trailblazer. Being a trailblazer is knowing that people don't hold the key to our destiny. And I had to really understand that last year. And when I had to really grasp that concept, it really helps with, the labels that people throw on you, because we have a tendency of when people are throwing these labels on us, we'll allow them to stick, but we have the power to just allow them just to slip off.
Exactly.
So, whatever labels the people are throwing on you, why are you wearing that label? Why are you accepting that? Why are you moving in a way where you have to have everyone's approval and it's not, and you don't. So when we have that mindset and understanding that we have that power, man, a lot of that stuff is going to bounce off of us.
I'm telling you, man, and I never want to get to the place, where I stand before God and give an account for my life and say that I let the attitudes and what people believed about me keep me from doing what you were calling me to do. And at the end of the day, no one can really speak to the matters that are in your heart like you can.
Right.
You and I have talked about this on a number of occasions. Some people from the outside looking in will be like, oh man, he's doing so much. But to you, hey, listen, I'm not giving it my all. I'm kind of easing back.
Right.
And so on the outside looking in, listen, nobody really knows your full measure. If you're giving it your all, if you're taking it easy. But, and I posted this earlier, I want to leave this life having poured my whole self out for the benefit of humanity. And an attitude of a trailblazer says, you know what? I'm not so much doing this for me as I am doing it for those who are going to come behind me.
Yeah, and I don't know if you still have some things that you want to share, but I really want to give people, you know, kind of like something to leave off with.
Oh, go ahead.
But the first thing I really want people to do, and if you have something to write, go ahead and write this down. Really ask yourself, when you have a vision, when you have a bright idea, or something that's really burning inside that you just want to release. My first thing that I want to ask you is, how much time are you really giving yourself towards that? So what I mean is, you know, are you really, how much time have you really meditated on that? How much time have you really prayed over that? How much alone time have you gave that vision, that idea? The next thing is, ask yourself, are you married to the plan or the vision? Are you married to the plan or the vision? That's something that Dexter had just got done saying. We should be married to the vision, not the plan, because the plan can adjust, the plan can change. So if we're married to the plan, then we're gonna be all discombobulated, and we're gonna be all over the place. The thing is, it's always the vision. It's always the vision. The third thing is, does my thoughts in decision making align with my vision? Does my thoughts in decision making align with my vision? And even with your circle, does my thoughts, circle, and decision making align with my vision? When you're going through this, I really do think this is going to really be something that's going to hold you accountable. This is not something that you go to one time. No. This is something that you're going to have to go to, you know, across the board, a course time. And when you go to each level, these are some things you're going to have to really ask yourself. And I really do believe if you really go through these questions, you really apply these things, it's going to really hold you accountable in the right direction.
And to caveat on that, and then I'm done, but and the reason why it's important to always go back to the plan, or to go back to the vision, is that as you make progress, you have a broader scope now. You see more as you step out. And so you're only limiting yourself by not revisiting your vision. And at the end of the day, guess what? When you accomplish your vision, guess what? Now you're seeing more things. You're seeing more things to now make the aim of your pursuit. And so it's my hope that on today that you all will begin to really take yourself serious, that you all will to endeavor to really go after your vision, and don't be afraid to be the trailblazer. Listen, you know, count yourself as privileged if you have something on your heart that no one else is doing. You know, it would be well spoken of concerning you to be the first. And so don't be afraid to be the first.
Most definitely, don't be afraid to be the first. We really enjoyed everyone. We really enjoy and appreciate the listeners and everyone who's tuning in. Please share the broadcast. If you really are enjoying this broadcast and this is being an impact to you, you can easily go to wytv7.org and make a monetary contribution. We do have some events that we're planning. So we will have some events hosted in Augusta, Georgia, and we really want all the men to really be inspired by this, to really get some tools in their toolkit from this, and we really want the guys to really come together, not just with the live video, but physically as well. So we are going to be hosting some events very soon. So if you are interested in more information, you can easily inbox us your email so we can add you to the email list and keep you updated. We do have some ad opportunities to promote your business or your product. So if you want some opportunities to promote your product, your services, or whatever the case may be, you can just easily email us or inbox us. Our email is whenmenopenup@gmail.com, whenmenopenup@gmail.com, and get in contact with us. Let's see what's best for us. At the end of the day, it's supposed to be beneficial for us. So let's just talk and let's just see what we can do to really make this happen. So we really enjoy everyone for reaching out. Please share the video and tune in with us next time. This is When Men Open Up, where we are redefining manhood through transparency. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much.